Go ahead and get started. Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Leo Colegio. Welcome to our August 25th, the edition of the TEA LEA webinar. I'm going to start with an announcement, and within that, I will also share my screen. And the announcement, as you can see here, is about the legal framework. Essentially, the webpage will be unavailable for maintenance from September 1st to the 21st. Extensions for completing assurances or uploading LEA special ed policy procedures will not be available past the August 31st deadline. Platform will, however, be available to search citations and look up information, but LEAs will not be able to upload any documents or see their assurances until the update is complete. So wanted to get that to you here today. Additionally, while we're looking at the agenda, I wanted to point out that the dyslexia updates that had previously been scheduled for today have been postponed until our next TEA LEA webinar for September 8th. And so with that, I'm going to turn it over to our first presenter, Dr. April Estrada from ESC 10, regarding SLP master's degree distance venue tuition reimbursement programs for students from small and rural LEAs. Dr. Estrada.
Thank you so much, Dr. Colegio. Okay, I won't take a whole lot of time today. I just wanted to, I don't think it's sharing.
Looks good.
You can see it?
Yes.
Perfect. Okay, we're wanting to talk to you about an exciting opportunity. So at Region 10, we have the opportunity, or we have had the opportunity for the last 20 plus years to host the speech language pathologist degree program. We do a master's program with Texas Women's University. We do a 2-year cycle cohort. We are currently in cycle 11. And we have placed over 1,200 SLPs into schools across Texas. I think we're the largest supplier of SLPs at this point in the state. So we've done that every year, and we are continuing to do that. But we wanted to come to you with an exciting opportunity that TEA has afforded us going into cycle 12. So my wonderful person who oversees this is Pam Sepulvado. She is out today, but that is her contact information, and she is the person who works so wonderfully with TWU and all the other ESCs to make this program work. So here's a little bit about our program. This is for those that are not familiar with it. It's a distance venue program. So this was created, like I said, over 20 years ago to address the shortage of speech language pathologists in Texas. As of today, you guys know we're still facing shortages, and so it's a very important program. So this venue, we get to work with the other ESCs across the state and do a program where the students get to do 1 time a week at their ESC and 1 day a week virtually at home on demand. And while the applicants accepted into this venue will be fully prepared to serve in any professional setting, the venue is intended to help with the shortages is in schools. So certified SLPs in Texas public schools, we remain committed to that being their primary focus and the target for this group. So for this, the distance venue is designed to allow students to work in schools as SLPAs or licensed assistants while completing the requirements for a master's degree in speech language pathology. That's difficult to do, so that's why we work around a full-time schedule. Each student must secure sponsorship from an educational entity, so from their school district or charter, and they have to maintain a sponsorship throughout that master's venue. Students attend class in their participating ESC once a week, and then they attend class virtually at least once per week. There's an ESC coordinator that supports and mentors the students, and then experienced SLPs across the state supervise the students during their clinical experience. Both ESC coordinators and SLP supervisors serve as an extension of the classroom to help provide that hands-on real-world experience for the graduate students as they prepare to serve students in Texas public schools. So moving into cycle 12, which will start in June 2023, TEA has set aside funds to help offset the reimbursement for our SLPs that will promise to work in small and rural schools. So the funding reimbursement is available for up to 15 students, 10 traditional SLP students, and then 5 targeted towards working on their bilingual certificate. We are collaborating with the Small and Rural Network out of Region 15 because they already have a reimbursement program set up to award reimbursements for diagnosticians and LSSPs. And so we will collaborate with them on the funding for the reimbursement. The funding will include all the expenses that they will incur during those 27 months during the master's degree program, which is tuition and fees, books, the fees that occur during the kickoff week, and then the testing for the bilingual certificate. And then upon completion of the SLP master's degree venue, the participants must commit to a minimum of 3 years of service in a small and rural LEA here in Texas. Some important dates for you to know about is, this is already opened, but August 15th through October 15th, the application window for the program has already started. We've been doing informational meetings for over the past 6 months or so preparing, and so we've had several of those. The application to apply for the tuition reimbursement program will open September 15th and will go through October 15th. Our next and last informational meeting, which is why it was so important to get on this agenda, is September 7th. So if you have not attended a meeting, or if you know of someone who would be a great applicant for this, we want to make sure and get them to that meeting on September 7th. And then December 2022, they will be notified if their acceptance into the program. And then February 2023, they will be notified of winning the tuition reimbursement program. And then May 2023, they would do their kickoff week at Texas Women's University. In June 2023, they will begin their classes with their ESC. And then in August of 2023, they'll begin working in the practicum in their school districts and charters. So here are the things that we've been doing as of one of those today is we've been disseminating this information through the small and rural networks and through our different channels across the state, reaching out to special ed directors in small and rural and small group recruitment meetings, trying to make sure that everyone knows about this opportunity. And then at the next information meeting on September 7th, we will be able to give more details about the reimbursement scholarship and the application process. What we would ask for you to do is to encourage any SLPAs to attend the Cycle 12 information meeting, even if they're unsure, have them attend. You can click there to have the link. Help disseminate this opportunity information to anyone that you know would be interested or yourself. There's the webpage, and so you can find out all about the information, and then email Pam if there's anything that you have any specific questions about, or give her a call, and we would be happy to assist you and help answer any questions. We definitely want to fill up those 15 seats. It's a wonderful opportunity. It's going to be well over $20,000. As you guys know, it's expensive to get your master's degree, and we're so grateful for TEA for making this a priority. So, Dr. Leos, any other questions?
Wondering about the slide deck. Is that something that we'd be able to share, or would you be willing to perhaps post those links, that page with the links, into the chat?
Absolutely. I'll work on posting those, and then I'll also share the PowerPoint with you so you can post it to the agenda site.
Okay, give me just a moment to make an adjustment for the chat. Okay, Dr. Estrada, if you could place those in there.
Okay, I'll work on
And we feel, yeah, that'd be great. Okay, and so with that, our next presentation will come from Tammy Piercy and Dr. Zane Wubina on SPP data collection.
Thanks, Leo.
Excellent.
Yeah, so I think Zane's going to share a screen. We're going to talk through a few things. We just wanted to give you guys a little bit of update on the TSDS child fund collection. As you are all likely fully aware, the collection for the 2021-2022 school year has closed. The close date was July 28th, with a few exceptions. We have everyone in the state who had data to report, who has subsequently reported that data to us by that date, or with, like I said, few exceptions. We had a few extensions on that that we worked with several individual LEAs for that purpose. And we have already started moving into the new 2022-2023 school year data collection. And that application is now open, I'm happy to say, and we'll talk through that a little bit as well. What we're going to do today is just answer a few questions that have come through with regards to Tim's tickets and that process, as well as give a little brief overview of the available reports that are in the Child Find TSDS system for your use as you're heading into this next school year. If you didn't take the opportunity last year to be able to become familiar with those reports, or would just like a little bit more information, we're going to provide that to you today. As we go through this, I see Zane's already posting some links into the chat for you. So I encourage you to grab some of these links as we go through this today. We want to give a brief overview first of hopefully those of you who are either new or a little bit less familiar in the end of the collection, just making sure that we have kind of a level set on language here. In TSDS system, there is a process by which you conduct the data entry and submission to the state. And those three terms are promote, validate, and complete. So first, you would promote your student level data into the TSDS Child Find collection. During that promotion, and Zane's got a little chart here, but basically that's, in layman's term, promote means to use the users enter the information from their SIS system or whatever hand system that they have, whether it's electronic SIS or other systems, but they're going to promote the data from wherever you collect it locally into the operational data store. And so that's where we're going to collect the data. And then we're going, that gets promoted into the Child Find data application. And so that core application then performs calculations using the Child Find data. And that Child Find data mart is where it basically takes that, and you'll want to validate your data at this point. The reports that we've created within the system will help you look at that. Your compliance reports, any other views that you can pull from TSDS will help you look at your data and help you with that validation. And Zane's going to show you a few screens in just a second. But basically, there are warnings. You can go ahead and promote to the next screen, Zane. But there are warnings that you will be able to see in those validation screens. When there's an F or fatal warning, you definitely want to stop and pay attention to that, especially in this upcoming year, because some of the edit warnings that we allowed to go through this year, because it was a first year collection, which is kind of within the same scope and requirements that most TSDS brand new collections allow. We didn't add the fatals this first go round, but there will be some fatals in this upcoming collection. I'll give you an example. If you submitted data and that data suggested or showed with the calculations that student was out of compliance with the evaluation timeline, and then it would have asked for or would require typically for you to give a reason for the delay. That was an edit warning this first time around, but in this year's collection, there will be a fatal. This F will appear, and you will not be able to complete, which is the last step, your submission in the TSDS collection without fixing your fatal edits. And so that is one example of a requirement that will be in effect for this submission, whereas you might have been able to sneak that through even with an edit warning this first collection year. So just make sure you're aware of this. If you have the chance, we really highly recommend, like we did last year, and the collection opened in September of last year. It's open now. We would really highly recommend that you get in there as soon as possible as you have student data, especially those students that you might have started the process in the prior school year, but because of when the signed written parental consent was received, you're not yet completed, or you weren't required to complete that evaluation and eligibility determination until this school year. As soon as you start getting those eligibility determination finalizations, I would encourage you to get into the system and start promoting those students up, playing around with the data, using your report function, look at your validation requirements, see if you have any fatals, see if you have any edit warnings, and get familiar with it as much as possible, and find out what's going on. If there is a SIS error on your local SIS side, those are the things that TSDS TIMS tickets can help you resolve. And so anyway, we want to make sure that that's you're hearing that loud and clear. We're encouraging you to get in the system as soon as possible. Start promoting your student level data, playing around with it. Maybe schedule it monthly, schedule it however you want to schedule it with some of these uploads, because it is open. Unlike the old system that was through TIL with the SVP application that only allowed a certain window of opportunity for you to submit data, TSDS allows you to submit data all year long. And I would say, Zane, I'm going to turn it over to you in just a second, but I would say also with the TIMS tickets, we have received a lot of TIMS tickets. And if you're unfamiliar with TIMS tickets, I would encourage you to contact your ESC, TSDS champion. Every ESC has one or two or more ESC child find, actually specifically to child find TSDS champions who have gone through all the training. TEA and TSDS ascribes to the trainer of trainer model, and that's what's been implemented for this data collection. So you do have that expert at the ESC. Those folks are, their names are located within the TSDS application for you to locate and find out who that is, or you can simply call your ESC and ask who your TSDS child find champion is and get in touch with that person for support. TIMS tickets are the avenue for the TSDS champions to react to. So when you complete a TSDS TIMS ticket, that then gets escalated. You would write in your question or your issue. You would escalate it to, I think it's a level 2, and then that would go to your ESC, and ESCs usually can answer most of these questions that you may have with the technical aspects of the application. If they can't, they definitely promote that up to the TSDS folks here at TEA. And once they receive that, then if they can answer it, then they engage over that with the ESC and or you. Sometimes Zane and I do get those TIMS tickets, or someone in program do get questions from the TSDS folks at TEA, and we help on the program side of things to answer some questions. But typically the system works within the way it's designed to work within your ESC or our IT department handling the TSDS TIMS tickets. I know Zane and I have seen a lot of TIMS tickets in the last few weeks over clarification questions, and that's kind of outside the scope of the TIMS tickets for TSDS Child Find Collection. And I believe Ramonda Olaloye may be here somewhere and can answer some of those questions today about clarifications. And Zane, do you want to go on to the next screen, and we'll just move over a couple of other resource overviews.
Yep. So I'll just so on this data validation screen, I just wanted to, Tammy covered this related to delay reasons. I just wanted to explain this really quickly. This is one delay a delay reason a validation error that was pretty common this year, and it had to do with the SPED eligibility date can't occur before the initial valuation date. In this sense, it would be like finishing a race before you started the race. And so this validation error was pretty common, and you can see you will get a warning like this. It will show you exactly what error you're looking at, and then it will have these dates over here. So you just want to make sure you check these dates especially once you promote your data and you see any of your validation errors, any of the fatal errors or the special edit warnings, you check these dates and you can make changes accordingly. The next slide that we're going to go through, just very briefly, once you promote your data in TSDS and you encounter any of your errors, any of your validation errors, you want to look at your reports, the reports that are produced in TSDS. There's two types of reports for SPP 11 and SPP 12. You have student compliance reports, and then you also have aggregate reports. The student compliance reports are going to actually show student level information. You can select to show, for example, partial social security number, the UID, the full social security number. That's helpful if you get your report and you need to go back into your district, you need to contact someone, you'll be able to identify what student you have a question about, especially if there's a validation error that you need to clear up. But one resource, it has existed in TSDS in the reports for this past year, but we discovered that it wasn't being accessed. People weren't aware of this. And so what we've done is, it's basically a report support document. And so this report support document explains the reports. When you look at your report, you may think some of the names are kind of obscure. It might be cut off, and that's just because of how formatting works. There's character limitations on the columns, the column names. And so this report support document, which is in TSDS, we've also posted it. It's in TSDS near the report section. There's going to be a question mark, and you'll select that. You'll be able to, this screen similar to this will pop up for whichever report you wanted to get information about. And it's going to basically explain all of those variables. It'll show you the promotion logic. This is in the links that were provided. And that logic is, if you have a question about, hey, my SIS, my student information system, it has different information than what TSDS is showing. Why? Well, because there's certain promotion logic that has been built into the system. For example, one of the critical pieces of information is the eligibility determination date. So we had some districts, they contacted us and they were having trouble. And once we looked, they were trying to promote students who didn't have an eligibility determination date. And so that date was actually missing. And so those students they might show up in your SIS because you've entered that information, which is really great because you're tracking it. But those students aren't actually going to show up in TSDS because only students with a eligibility determination date between July 1st and June 30th are going to be included into the actual collection. And then for those students, the calculations are going to be performed. And so you'll be able to access this document within TSDS. We've also posted this document on the SPP 11 webpage and on the SPP 12 webpage. And there's one document, and that one document includes basically report support, how to read the SPP 11 student compliance report and the aggregate report. So the aggregate report is going to it covers your entire district. It doesn't break it down into individual students. It kind of gives an overall your compliance status, how many students were at the initial evaluation. But if you need clarification on actually reading those reports, I highly suggest you go to this resource, either in TSDS or on the SPP webpage, because it goes through and it really explains every variable or every column in that report, both the student report and the entire district level report.
And I would again remind you that if you get into some of these resources and you have additional questions about the resources that you find in TSDS, or you just need some further explanation about the process or the collection itself, reach out to your ESC, reach out to your through a TIMS ticket or through the phone to your TSDS Child Find Champion at your ESC, because they're going to be your first line of support. That, like I said, we ascribe to the trainer of trainer model, and all of those folks have been trained in the collection itself and the functionalities and the requirements. And again, if they can't answer it, they will escalate the ticket all the way up to TEA, TSDS IT department, and your support is there waiting for you. We really don't want, we want you to not be as frustrated. We understand that there's a lot of frustration in a first year collection. It's a new thing, it's a new process. But we were very excited about the results that we've gotten within the system. The system worked for us. I know there's some folks that had some questions because what Zane said, you're looking at your SIS data and it's not quite matching to the TSCS system. We've worked with several districts through that process to validate whether or not the TSCS system was accurately reflecting the total number of students entered, the total number of students that were within timelines, and the total number of students outside of the timeline. And in each and every case that that's been investigated, TSDS, there's not a breakdown in TSDS, that it is calculating correctly. We have verified and validated that. So if there is an issue with districts who think that they have reported accurately, but they're showing noncompliance where they think there was compliance, we would suggest that you go back to the dates that are displayed that were entered from your SIS and or manually entered from you. Look at your instructional calendars, because it is calculating from your campus level instructional calendars, whichever campus that student is assigned to. And those are the issues that we're finding possibly where the perception is that the student was or was not. We've actually had some questions about, we thought we were not in compliance, and the system does show that they were in compliance. So just making sure that you're checking all those dates, all of the requirements for the date pieces, and ensuring that your SIS is collecting and reporting accurately to what the statutory requirements are. And just a reminder, this collection, TSDS Child Find collection, was designed around the specific Texas statutory requirements that outlines the 45 instructional day, the extension of more than 2 absences, 3 or more absences basically, or that ability of like when the consent was received within that 35 to 45 day window, or less than 35 days before the end of the school year. And so all of those things are part of the actual very complex behind the scenes calculation requirements build that that TAIT and in conjunction with Dr. Ovina and myself in the requirements build. And so I think we've probably alleviated those questions of, is our system working correctly? Yes, it is. So there may be another reason why you might be thinking that something is afoot, and we'll be happy to investigate those things with you, and as well as your ESC TSDS champion. Zane, there was one other thing that we were going to talk about coming up this year. There may be some additional enhancements, and I know there's a question in the chat about some of the other SPPs, and I'll answer those for sure. But there may be some additional SPP enhancements that are coming up in this year's collection or next year's collection. So we would encourage that you keep abreast with all of the TAAs that come out of the agency regarding the Child Find collection. That's our main mode from program outward to you as districts and district leaders, as well as ESCs. We definitely will be, we welcome the chance to come back and talk to you guys if there's ever any opportunity for us to update you like we're doing today, in addition to TAAs to fully explain or give some more information. And let me see, there was a couple of questions. Leo, do I have time to answer a couple of questions?
Yes. There's some comments in the Q&A.
Yeah. So there's a question about SPP 7 and TSCS. We are, I know that's been the buzz. We are moving all of the SPP collections into the TSCS environment. We are in requirements build right now for SPP 7 as well as SPP 13, which are the two remaining ones that are outside of in the old legacy system. And so those are being built as we speak. There will be one more collection in the legacy system this year. Unfortunately, we still be using this next summer. But then again, just like Child Fund, there will be an open date in the 23-24 school year that will be for SPP 7 and SPP 13 as well. And I think the question about PEMS folks and districts being provided the same information. Yes, PEMS folks, as well as local directors, anyone who is involved in the collection and reporting requirements have the same information through TSCS, Child Fund champions and resources within the TSCS application. The clerical errors, do you have ability to correct and re-promote the data now that the window is closed? No, the window's closed and there's no extensions to that. So the way you'll work through that, just like in the old system, is through clarifications. And I know clarifications is closed. If you didn't have a chance to work through clarifications this year, if you are, you do receive a letter of non-compliance because it looks as if your data is non-compliant, that is an opportunity for you to show that there was a clerical error and quickly get corrections made and demonstrated, and then the non-compliance gets cleared and you're good to go. I think, Justin, you want to answer that? I'm sorry, I answered that question before I read below that you would like to answer this question live. Sorry.
No, I'm just trying to keep up with you. You answered it and I marked it off so we wouldn't be confused.
Okay, sorry. There's a couple of questions about the clarification process. I believe it's Ramonda here. I believe she wanted to answer those questions. I'm going to skip that one. I'm not sure what Jill is asking.
Just to quickly reiterate, some of our housekeeping is that the Q&A is open at these meetings, and that's the primary function. Not every Q&A question will generally be answered, but we do try to answer those either.
Yeah.
Anyway, we have some folks raising a hand, as I mentioned it, Tammy.
Okay.
Thanks.
So I don't see anything else that I can answer. I'm not sure. Leo, is Ramonda here? I don't see everyone. So, oh, there she is.
Yeah.
I'm going to let Ramonda throw some of these questions over to her with the clarification process.
Good afternoon, everyone. I'm here to just answer some of the questions to provide an overview of the SPP clarification process as it pertains to the Division of Review and Support. At this point, the SPP Qualtrics survey that was available in the Ascend application on the main dashboard under the resources section for those LEAs that were eligible to participate in the clarification process for SPP 11 and 12 is no longer available. That clarification process closed on August the 23rd. Today, LEAs are being contacted regarding their contact information from the Division of Review and Support of the reviewer that is assigned to work with that district through the clarification process. So the information that was entered into the Qualtrics survey gave us information to look at if the district engaged in any cyclical or targeted monitoring during the previous year, and if the district wanted to be contacted by review and support to have the opportunity to upload additional documents to evidence correction or to show what has been put in place to mitigate against non-compliance in the future. So emails will be received by districts by the close of business today with that contact information for the assigned reviewer that will work with the districts through the clarification process. When that special education director or coordinator reaches out to their reviewer, the reviewer and the LEA will work through the logistics of providing additional documentation and discussing the processes and systems that have been put in place regarding SPP 11, 12, and or 13. So the Qualtrics survey was just one part of the SPP clarification process. The second part of the clarification process is beginning. And so you will receive that notification today to give you the contact information of the reviewer that will be working with the LEA through the clarification process. So we just wanted to make sure that we provided that information. We have reviewed the Qualtrics survey information. We're cross-referencing everything with what we have in TSDS, and we're reaching out to LEAs by the close of business today. So that LEAs will have an opportunity to provide additional supplemental documents to evidence correction. And I think that that answers a lot of the questions that were in the Q&A regarding the SPP clarification process.
Thank you very much. Any additional comments from our presenters? Okay, well, with that, then we're going to close today's webinar. The next webinar is on September 8th, and a recording of today's webinar will be available on our TEA website in 2 to 3 business days is what it generally takes for it to go through its processes. And so that'll be available for you. In addition to the slide deck that Dr. Estrada shared with us. So with that, we bid you a good evening. Thanks for joining us today.